Hello and welcome to the mindset training for this month, which is the Right to Release Formula Part 2 recording. So this is perfect for you if you're finding yourself waking up in the middle of the night, thoughts flying around your mind at a million miles an hour, then this is really going to help you. So one of the most common frustrations that we have as busy women is struggling to switch off our busy brains after we've woken up in the night. That might be because we've got young children that are waking us up, or sometimes when we're really not in a good place, we might be having bad dreams, or if our anxiety is very high, sometimes you just get woken up by that jolt of adrenaline, and then once the mind starts going, it's just nigh on impossible to stop it. Even though you're really desperate to go back to sleep. And actually, be completely honest here, I had this at 4:30 this morning. Armin woke up with a cough. She was coughing for a bit, then she went back to sleep, and my mind just started going, and I didn't go back to sleep. So I'm literally like surviving on coffee and tea today. Luckily for me, that situation used to be pretty much every night. And actually, when it was really bad, I didn't even have a child that woke me up. I just would wake up in a panic in the middle of the night. So I think there's a few things that we can do to help this. Obviously, mindful gardening really helps, especially at the end of the day. But the thing that I'm going to teach you now is something that you can do every day to take some of the pressure off of you, so you can have a bit more of a restful night's sleep. So it's quite a practical session, so if you've got a pen and paper, grab those. You can pause me if you're watching on the replay and write down things, or you can save it and do it after the session. It's completely up to you. So our brains are bloody full, right? We've got work deadlines, we've got household stuff we've got to think about, we've got to do the food shop potentially, make doctor's appointments, kids activities if you've got kids, social life. Now things are starting to open up again, which we haven't had to contend with for a year. And that is obviously on top of all the emotional stuff that is still going on, because we are still in a pandemic, and we're still missing friends and family that maybe we've not seen, or we aren't able to see in the way that we want to. So we've got a lot going on. So I think it's really important to recognize that to start with. It's not really surprising when we've got so much going on that we do wake up in the middle of the night with those things whirring around in our heads. And if we can't then, switch off, it's really hard to switch off and go back to sleep. I think it's we're not unusual, is what I'm saying, in having those stresses, especially as modern women. I think most of us work and potentially have children to look after and things around the house to do. So life is full on, is what I'm trying to say. So our brains are actually really, really clever, but when we consistently overload them time and time again, it's odd that we're surprised that they have that little tantrum at 3 a.m. every morning. So a really simple solution to combat this is what I call a daily brain download, okay, or a brain dump. So this is where you literally take everything that is in your brain and you get it out onto the page. So just get a big old pad of paper, something like that. I like a pen and paper. And you're literally just going to write everything that is in your brain onto the page. Okay. Sometimes I do actually do this at 3 a.m. Like when I'm having if I'm awake and my mind's going and I'm thinking, oh, I must remember to do that. I will write this down. So I do keep a pad and pen by the bed. I also find when I'm out and about and I haven't got a pen and paper to hand and I want to remember something, I find the notes app on my iPhone, excuse me, really useful, because you can dictate straight into that. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you can literally, let me just go. So I'm just in the notes. So I'll show you, it's just the notes there. Hopefully you can see that. Let's just check. Yeah, you just can't see no, you can't see the screen very well. I'll do some photos and put them in the group, but basically you're in the notes app and you just do a new note. And then down here in the bottom right hand corner, there's a little microphone and you can just press it and speak straight into it. So, hi, my name is Kendall, and it just will type on there. But I'll do a little demo. Oh, it's still going. It's still recording me. And it will type it straight in there. So if you're walking somewhere, probably not driving, not very safe, then you can just type, you can just press that and just download. And sometimes, oh, hang on. Sarah, hello. Hey, I hope you're well. I'm just going to spotlight me because I'm mid-recording, but hopefully you've got a pen and paper and you can make any notes. So I will just, I'm talking about a technique that's going to help you to switch off when your mind is really, really busy, okay? So this, what I call it a daily brain download. So this is literally taking everything that's in your brain and getting it out onto the page. Now, I like to do it with a pen and paper. So literally just sheet of paper and a pen and literally just write everything down, okay? This is to combat, you know, when your mind is really whirring in the middle of the night and you find it hard to switch off. So you can, you know, get back to sleep. But I like to do it at the end of my working day, because I feel like it gets it all out of my head, and then I can kind of relax and enjoy my evening. I was also just saying as well that you can use your notes app on your phone and dictate straight into that. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy, you can just dictate straight into that. I quite like to do that if something has frustrated me. I will quite often just open my notes app, put the microphone on and just kind of like talk to myself on there and kind of just get it out. I find it quite soothing to do that. So you can do this at any point during your day, but if you choose to do it at the same time every day, you're more likely to keep up with it. A really useful tip is to link it to something that you do every day. So for example, if you get up in the morning and you make a cup of tea, then you might choose to do this as you have your cup of tea, so just to get everything out of your head onto your page. But for me personally, like I said, I do it at the end of my working day because I think it helps me to have a more relaxing evening, but also it stops that kind of 3 a.m. wake up and the mind whirring. Not always, but most of the time. So I'd like you to kind of think about, maybe you don't have to do this right now in the session. You can if you want to, or you can do it afterwards. But think about what time of day would work for you. So for me, I usually finish my working day at about 6, because that's when Dave and Arwen get back from nursery. So I try by about 5:30 to stop doing like all the other bits of work that I've got to do. And then I will do my download and just make sure I've got everything out of my head, things that I need to remember to do, you know, all sorts of things that are just whirring around in there. Now, I think it's important to point out that when I first started doing this, I found it really difficult. I would like be sat there with my pen and paper thinking, blank page, and thinking, oh, I don't really know what to write, because I found once I got going, everything started to flow. So I've got a few prompts here that will help you to do this. And by all means, keep coming back to this video and doing it, you know, every day, or you know, because my challenge for you is going to be for you to do this for a month and see how you get on. So the first question then is, what am I worried about? So it's a really, really basic one. You may find things come up for these questions, but you may not find, but hopefully there'll be something that kind of starts the ball rolling, and then you can just start to really go for it on the page. The next one then is, what have I got on this month? So it might be that you've got a birthday to remember. It might be that you've got a big presentation at work. So anything like that that's causing you stress, or you have to do something about it, just put that down on the page as well. And then another one, which is a great one because I'm classic for this, is what are the things I keep forgetting to do? And by all means, you can keep this pad near to you during the working day. And every time you think, oh, I must do that, you can pop it on there. Similarly, the notes on the iPhone app is really useful for that. The next one then, what household tasks do I need to do? I mean, nobody really wants to clean the house or I don't know, take the bins out or whatever, but it's all got to be done. And if it's in your head and you're thinking to yourself, I must remember to do that, I must remember to do that, get it on your list, get it out of the head onto the list. And then the final one then is there anything that's upsetting me? So you might find all sorts of things start to pour out onto the page when you start this one. But I think actually by getting it out of your head and onto the page, you can start to process it a bit better and maybe look at it a bit more objectively. And the next step in this process is going to help you to kind of to do that a little bit more. So once you start, I would advise you to keep writing until you feel like a weight has been lifted. If you've never done this activity before, it might, or it's been a while since you last did it, it might be that you're there writing for some time. I know for me, if I fall off the bandwagon with doing this, which does happen, I can be there kind of writing pages and pages and pages of things. I'm like, oh my goodness me, I really needed to do this. So you just keep on going, keep writing. So once you kind of feel like, right, I think I've got everything out that's like taking up space in my head, I want you to just get your pen and cross off anything in your list that is out of your control or that you want to let go of. So say, for example, earlier in the day, you'd been to the post office, and I always use the post office as an example. I don't know why. You'd been to the post office and the lady in there had like been a bit like stroppy with you and not very pleasant, and it kind of upset you a bit. I'm quite a sensitive person. Maybe you're not like that, but that would kind of weigh on my mind for a little bit of time. So for me, that would probably have come out in my download. But ultimately, there's not really much I can do about that. And it's not somebody that's close to me or somebody that I know. So quite honestly, I probably want to let go of that. So I'm going to put a big cross through that. So anything that you are unable to do anything about, so if it's somebody else's reaction to something, or you're stressing about something and there's really nothing that you can do about it, then there's really no point in that taking up space in your brain. And the physical act of crossing through will eventually get rid of it. It might be that thing comes up again the next day, because you're not just going to like get rid of these things overnight, but in time, that physical thing of getting it out of your head and seeing it on the page is going to help you start to have an awareness to it, which is going to help you start to process it and move through it. So the next stage then is, I want you to, everything that's left on your list that you haven't crossed out, I want you to categorize. So we're just going to use numbers for this. So write a 1 by anything that's super, super urgent. So if you have got to, I don't know, write a presentation for work tomorrow, that's obviously pretty urgent. So that's going to obviously be categorized with a 1. And then a 2 by the things that are less urgent, a 3 even less urgent, so on and so on and so on. Okay. So what this will allow you to do, it will allow you to not only have that good night's sleep if you do it at the end of the day, and enjoy your evening, not stressing about things, but you will also have a ready-made to-do list to get straight on with the next day. So there's none of this kind of getting to your desk and then thinking, now what did I need to do again? You've got your list there and ready to go, and you know which things you're going to start with because they're your ones, right? And just get them done. And there is nothing more satisfying than crossing something or ticking something off of that list once you've completed. It will also stop you, and I'm very guilty of this, flitting from task to task. So, especially if I'm doing something that's a bit more challenging, maybe I've got something on my list that I really don't want to do, but I know I really need to do it. I will find excuses to do, you know, something that's a bit quicker and easier because I can tick it off my list. But actually, if the thing I don't want to do has got a 1, and the thing that I'm like trying to do has got a 3, that's a really clear indication to me that, hang on a minute, why am I avoiding this top thing? Just rip that band-aid and get it done. So the next day, then, at the end of the day, you'll have worked your way through your to-do list. Perhaps you'll have, you know, crossed a couple off the top, some of the ones, maybe just one of the ones. So at the end of the next day, then, if you choose to, at the end of the day, you'll do a completely fresh brain dump. So take a completely fresh piece of paper, write everything on there again, and you know, if there's, go back to your list from the day before, and if there's things that are on that the day before list that you think they still need to get done, pop them onto your download as well. But chances are they'll still be floating around there in your head a little bit. Even if you do just this on its own, obviously you're going to find it easier to switch off, because there's something in just getting it out of your head and onto the page that is going to be good. But when you then combine, certainly at the end of the day, what I found has been so helpful from working from home is doing this and then getting out in the garden and even just doing sort of half an hour of mindful gardening. Then I find my evening is much more relaxed and I'm much calmer. So your homework then, if you haven't already done this or you're watching on the replay, is to do this brain download and categorize each item on the list, and try and do it if you can. And you're going to be like, ugh, every day for the next month. If you don't think you can do every day, try every 2 days or at least once a week. Some people like to do this weekly, so you can do it at the start of the week and then you've kind of got your weekly thing, and you can add to it if you want as you go through the week. So try and see how you get on with doing this to kind of release some of that pressure. In the third part of the right to release formula, which is next month, the start of next month, we're going to start looking at your daily routine. So we're going to be looking at how we can streamline it. And we're going to be looking, I'm going to ask you to bring along some of your brain downloads that you've done. And we're going to be looking at how we can streamline your current routine, if there's certain things that you can maybe let go of. And then we're going to look at the things that absolutely you can't let go of, like, for example, looking after children or your job, or, making food, for example. Obviously those things need to keep happening, but there may be other things that you are doing that are for you, you're thinking, oh, I must do this, but actually when we start to look into it, you'll be like, oh, actually I don't really think I want to do this anymore. And then you can start to release those things, and that will free up more time for you then to spend out in the garden, which is ultimately what we want to do. So that will free up space, and then we can incorporate the mindful gardening activities into those gaps. And instead of doing something that you don't want to do, you can actually be doing something that you want to do, and helps you to feel calmer and happier. So that's going to be a bonus. So yeah, I don't know if there are any questions. If there are, pop them into the chat and I can answer them now. But that is it. It's on over to you ladies to go and give it a go now, and see how you get on. I'll be sharing mine, and I will share a few of the prompts actually in the Facebook group. I know, Sarah, you're not in the Facebook group, but hopefully you've scribbled them down there. I might pop them in the email actually that I send out with the replay. I think that would be useful. Yeah, so I just think give it a try. There will be resistance to it initially, like any new habit that you form. I think it took me a long time to kind of consistently do it, but I find by linking it to the end of my working day, it's much more likely to happen. And sure, there are days where it doesn't happen. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm perfect and I do it every day, because that's like just not true at all. But if you can at least do this a couple of times a week, it's going to help you massively. If you can do it every day, it will help you even more. And for me, certainly, I know that once I start having those like middle of the night wake up brain whirring, then I need to get back on the horse, because I've probably not done this for a few days, and that's why I need to to kind of get it out of my head. So hopefully that's been useful. Let me know how you get on. Sarah, like I said, you're not in the Facebook group, so feel free to send me an email, ask me any questions. And yeah, let's release some of that pressure. Thanks so much, and see you next week. Okay, bye.